Beneath your feet, a ticking time bomb is silently leaking poison. It's a hidden debt, a colossal sum of $2 trillion that you're already paying for. This isn't just an environmental crisis. It's a financial catastrophe waiting to explode, threatening your future and your savings. This isn't speculation. This is documented. Millions of abandoned oil and gas wells globally represent an unfunded liability, a burden corporations have quietly shed. Let me show you how this pattern repeats and why it matters to you right now. The scale is staggering. Imagine a debt so vast it dwarfs many national economies, yet remains largely invisible. This isn't a problem for future generations alone. Its consequences are unfolding today, impacting your health and your wallet. For decades, the oil and gas industry extracted resources, leaving behind a toxic legacy. These wells, once profitable assets, become dangerous liabilities when production ceases. The cleanup costs are immense, often exceeding the value of the land itself. The system was designed to ensure cleanup. Regulations mandated bonds, small deposits meant to cover future remediation. But here's the catch. These bonds were laughably inadequate, a mere fraction of the actual cost, a critical flaw in liability economics. Companies profited handsomely, extracting wealth from the ground. Then, when a well ran dry or became uneconomical, they simply walked away. The responsibility, the financial burden, quietly shifted, often without public knowledge or consent. This isn't an isolated incident. This is a global pattern, repeated across continents and decades. From the vast plains of North America to the remote fields of Siberia, the same playbook is used, leaving behind a trail of environmental destruction. The immediate danger: methane. These abandoned wells are potent sources of this greenhouse gas, far more destructive than carbon dioxide in the short term. They contribute significantly to climate change, accelerating its devastating effects on your world. Even as regulations evolved, they remained weak, often lobbied into inadequacy by powerful industry groups. The cost of proper abandonment was always seen as an expense to be minimized, rather than a fundamental part of doing business. This created a perverse incentive. Companies could externalize their cleanup costs, passing them on to the public. It was a hidden subsidy, allowing them to maximize profits while avoiding their true environmental and financial obligations. The problem isn't new. Governments and environmental groups have warned about this for years. But the sheer volume of wells, combined with the astronomical cleanup costs, has created a paralysis, a catastrophic failure of regulatory oversight. I've linked the source in the description, but the Environmental Protection Agency estimates millions of these wells exist in the US alone. Each one is a potential leak, a silent contributor to a growing crisis that impacts your air and water quality. The pattern is clear: profit privatized, costs socialized. This is not a bug in the system. This is the design. The financial liability, once belonging to corporations, now quietly sits on the public's ledger, a ticking time bomb for taxpayers. Think about the scale. A single well can cost tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, to properly plug and remediate. Multiply that by millions, and you quickly reach into the trillions. This is the true cost of unchecked industrial expansion. The contrast is stark. Oil executives enjoyed immense wealth, while the communities near these abandoned sites faced declining property values and health risks. This is the hidden cost of corporate bankruptcy cases, a burden you ultimately bear. The mechanism is simple: inadequate bonding. State and federal regulations require operators to post bonds to cover cleanup, but these bonds are often set at ridiculously low amounts, sometimes just a few $1,000s per well. For example, in some states, a bond for a single well might be $10,000, while the actual cleanup cost could be $100,000 or more. This massive gap is the core of the unfunded liability, a direct threat to your financial stability. When a company goes bankrupt or simply abandons its wells, those inadequate bonds are quickly exhausted. The remaining cleanup falls to state or federal agencies funded by taxpayer dollars. You pay for their negligence, The International Energy Agency, IEA, reports that methane emissions from these wells are a significant contributor to global warming. This isn't just a local issue, it's a global climate threat, impacting everyone on the planet. This isn't theory. This is the mathematical reality of liability economics. The numbers don't lie. The cost of inaction far outweighs the cost of prevention, yet prevention was consistently ignored, leaving you vulnerable. The truth is, the industry knew. They understood the long-term environmental and financial implications of these wells. But short-term profits consistently outweighed long-term responsibility, a pattern that continues today. This is not a flaw. This is the feature. The system allowed for this transfer of risk, creating a massive externalized cost. And now, that cost is coming due, directly impacting your quality of life and your children's future. Right now, the same pattern is happening. New wells are being drilled, often with the same inadequate bonding requirements. The cycle of profit and abandonment continues, adding to the already colossal debt you face. The Government Accountability Office, GAO, has repeatedly highlighted these regulatory failures. Their reports detail how federal and state agencies lack the funds and authority to address the problem effectively, leaving a void you must fill. What makes this dangerous today is the sheer volume and the accelerating pace of climate change. Every leaking well contributes to a crisis that impacts your weather patterns, your food supply, and your overall security. The financial implications are staggering. This $2 trillion debt could strain public budgets, diverting funds from schools, healthcare, and infrastructure. It's a hidden tax on your future, a cost you never agreed to pay. This isn't just about old wells. Many active wells today will eventually become abandoned. The problem is growing, not shrinking, creating an ever larger shadow over your economic stability and the health of your environment. The lack of proactive investment in plugging these wells is a catastrophic failure of infrastructure investment ROI. Instead of preventing a crisis, we are now faced with a reactive, astronomically expensive cleanup. The insurance industry largely avoids this liability. The risks are too high, the costs too unpredictable. This leaves governments and ultimately taxpayers as the insurer of last resort, shouldering the entire burden. This is a direct threat to your economic well-being. As governments grapple with this debt, they will inevitably look for revenue, potentially leading to higher taxes or reduced public services. Your money will be used to clean up corporate messes. The long-term consequences are dire. Contaminated land and water, increased greenhouse gas emissions, and a massive financial black hole. This is the legacy of a system that prioritized extraction over responsibility, and you're inheriting it. So what should you take from this? First, understand that this isn't a natural disaster. It's a man-made financial and ecological crisis, born from regulatory neglect and corporate evasion. The pattern is always there. Second, recognize that this problem directly impacts you. Your taxes, your environment, your health are all at stake. This isn't abstract, it's personal. Awareness is the first step towards protection. Third, demand accountability. Push for stronger regulations, adequate bonding, and corporate responsibility. The cost of inaction is too high for you and for future generations. Knowledge is the only protection. The same tricks, the same patterns that led to past financial collapses are at play here. The externalization of costs, the inadequate safeguards, the quiet transfer of liability. It's a familiar, dangerous dance. History shows that unchecked corporate power, coupled with weak regulation, always leads to a crisis. This time, it's millions of abandoned wells, a silent, slow-motion catastrophe that will eventually demand your attention and your money. This isn't prophecy. This is mathematics. The debt is real, the environmental damage is real, and the bill is coming due. Anyone with a calculator can see the inevitable outcome if nothing changes, and it will affect you. The true cost of oil and gas has been hidden for decades. Now that hidden cost is emerging, not as a minor expense, but as a multi-trillion-dollar liability that will redefine our economic and environmental landscape, impacting your life. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The pattern of corporate profit and public burden is clear. Understanding this changes everything. empowering you to ask the right questions and demand real solutions for your future. If this revealed to you the hidden threats in our financial systems, subscribe because the next video will expose another critical liability impacting global infrastructure investment. What other hidden debts are you unknowingly paying? The financial landscape is riddled with hidden liabilities. Understanding them is your best defense. Financial Analysis of Catastrophic Events has the answers. I'll show you where to look. This is the system working exactly as designed, but not in your favor. The consequences are now unavoidable, and they will impact your daily life, your community, and the legacy you leave behind. It's time to face the truth. The scale of this problem, the sheer number of wells, and the cost to remediate them creates a financial black hole. This isn't a problem that can be ignored. It's a fundamental challenge to our economic stability. The long-term health of our planet and our economies depends on addressing these unfunded liabilities. It's a test of our collective will, a challenge to prioritize genuine sustainability over short-term corporate gains. Your future depends on it. This isn't about blaming individuals. It's about understanding systemic failures. The regulatory framework, the corporate incentives, the lack of foresight. These are the true culprits behind this looming catastrophe. And you're caught in the middle. The time for action is now. Every day these wells leak. The problem grows and the cost escalates. Your awareness, your voice, and your demand for change are the only forces that can reverse this dangerous trajectory. Protect your future. The financial and environmental costs are converging. This isn't just about money or just about the planet. It's about both, intertwined in a crisis that demands immediate and comprehensive solutions. This affects you directly. The future of our energy infrastructure, and indeed our planet, hinges on how we address these abandoned wells. It's a stark reminder that true progress requires accountability, foresight, and a commitment to protecting your collective future.